Hey y'all, I just finished watching the Black Sabbath Ozzy Osbourne Back to the Beginning show, and I've got some thoughts on it. So if you want to hear my thoughts, stick around. Do me a solid, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Help me get to 1,000. Now let's talk about the show. Now, this is going to be really just me rambling a lot. I was going to write some notes and stuff, but I said, screw that. I just want to go off the gut. And this is really going to be more about my personal relationship with Ozzy versus the show itself. The show itself was fine. I didn't see the whole thing because it was obviously a really long stream, and I was in and out. But from what I did see of the earlier sets, everything was, the bands were good. Metallica was great. Never been a big fan of Slayer, but I thought their set was really fun. Guns N' Roses was there. And then, all the, for the most part, what I saw, everybody was fine. Everybody, was respectful of Black Sabbath. And one thing I will say is Steven Tyler sounded really good. So that was good to hear. But have you ever been sad and happy for somebody at the same time? Because that's kind of how I felt once Ozzy took the stage. For one, he was, in his little bat throne or whatever it was, looking all cool. But still, you know how Ozzy normally, how he used to be, right? Running back and forth across the stage, putting the mic on the mic stand, and then taking it off a second later and then putting it on. And, he was still doing that, but he wasn't, obviously running back and forth. But it looked like at a couple of points that he wanted to get up. But from what I saw is, did he say he couldn't walk anymore? Parkinson's and his whole situation. And that's where it got me thinking, man, this really is the end of an era. And I'm not just talking about Black Sabbath and Ozzy. I'm talking about just the end of the music that we grew up on, music that we loved. It's all ending. And as time goes by, that's how time works. As time goes on, more and more of our bands, our music will be gone. And what hit me with Ozzy is he looked so goddamn happy to be up on that stage singing, right? But when you know what he used to do, you know how he used to be, it was, he looked sad and feeble. I give him all the credit in the world for doing it. I thought he sounded really good, considering everything. I thought he sounded great. He sounded better than, some of the other singers that were there earlier in the day. But Ozzy sounded good, but it was just, I don't know, it was just sad. And it got me thinking, I only saw Ozzy live one time, right? And it was on my 13th birthday. So I have always associated Ozzy with becoming a teenager in the teenage years, right? That was my Ozzy years. And in fact, I have it right here. There's the tour book from the one time I saw him live. It was in Charlotte, North Carolina. January 13th, 1992, the No More Tours tour. It was my 13th birthday. And what a way to usher in your 13th birthday, And then, like I just showed in the thing here, in the centerfold, that's what he looked like when I saw him. All, running around all crazy on stage. And then how he looked at this show. And it just hit me that, time, man, time. There was one point, especially during my mom coming home, right? When they did that, everybody in the crowd was, obviously not everybody, but a big chunk of the people in the crowd were all teary-eyed. And there was one point during Ozzy's solo set, and then another point during the Black Sabbath set, where I swear he almost lost it, which is just crazy to me. Here's the Prince of Darkness, and it's just such an emotional time. But it really did, bring upon the idea of it's all ending, and if there's still these classic acts that you haven't seen that you want to see, you better go see them, because there ain't no telling how much longer they're going to be around for. Ozzy didn't want to stop. He just released Patient Number 9, and he was going to go on the tour, and what was the tour canceled? It was something like that. He never got to finish it. That's going to happen to more and more of our favorite artists. So just keep that in mind. But Ozzy's set, with Zakk Wylde and Mike Inez on bass, two of the people that I saw him with on this tour. So it was cool to see, all of them together, and just those classic songs, obviously Crazy Train, and I can't really remember, I Don't Know, Mr. Crowley, all that stuff was so good and Ozzy sounded good on him, right? He sounded good on him. But just that image of him sitting in that throne looking like he wants to get up, but he can't, or he doesn't need to, whatever it is. I don't know, man. It just hit me. It just struck me as this stuff is ending. Everybody that's hanging on to these bands of the past without moving on to something new. To quote, another famous band, your time is gonna come. I don't know why it hit me like that. It's just weird, but it did. But then let's go to the Black Sabbath set. Finally, it was the four of them. Bill Ward was back, which was great to see, and Black Sabbath sounded awesome. And in fact, take Ozzy out of the mix. The other three guys seems like could still do it for however long they wanted to. They still sounded fantastic. They still sounded like Black Sabbath. So really, this whole thing, this back to the beginning, is the farewell to Ozzy more so than Black Sabbath necessarily, because they could still, I don't think they will, but they could still go on and do it. It's not like they haven't toured without Ozzy before. But great to see Bill Ward back. But one thing that I found hilarious, and I hope it was not intentional, was Ozzy's throne was directly in front of Bill Ward. So it's like if you're looking at him from the crowd, you can't see Bill Ward because Ozzy's in front of it. I'm like, that's kind of messed up. But, I don't know. I enjoyed it for what it was. Go watch the clips on YouTube. It's a sad day that, our bands are ending. Kiss is done now. Ozzy's done. Aerosmith we're done, but, Steven Tyler sounded really good, so maybe they're not quite as done as they were. But yeah, the Who's going on their final tour. Age, man. You can't escape it. You can't escape age, and if you do, well, then you know what the alternative to that is. But yeah, did you watch any of the live stream? Or were you there? And if you were there, how awesome was it in person? Because the live stream there were some issues, but overall it was great. I saw somebody say it was like heavy metal Live Aid. I can kind of see that with the amount of acts that were there, and just how cool it was to see Jakey Lee back. I mean, he didn't play with Ozzy, but to see Jakey Lee back up there was great. It was good stuff, man. Good stuff, and it's all ending. Not to be Mr. Pessimistic, but it's all ending, so enjoy what you can while you can, and don't put it off. If there's somebody you want to go see them, because there might not be a next time. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the whole show, the whole thing about Ozzy. For Mr. Prince of Darkness to be sitting there sad, and you can tell that he was excited that he was getting to do this one last show, but you could tell that he was sad that it was over. And that's how I felt, and I'm sure a lot of other people felt too. But anyway, this is just my long rambling. Hopefully it even made sense. But yeah, so that part, for me personally, that part of my life is now officially over. The thing that tied me to my teenage years, I can't go out and see again and relive it, is done. So yeah, it's just kind of sad. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully this makes some kind of sense, because I'm just rambling. But yeah, so there's Ozzy Osbourne, man. Black Sabbath. They're done. It's over. I'm glad they got to go out on their terms, taking it all back home. That's awesome. Glad they got the support of all the other bands. That's awesome. And yeah, watch the clips on YouTube, because Ozzy, he put on a good show. Or he put on a good performance. And Black Sabbath, like I said, they sounded like you want Black Sabbath to sound. I thought they sounded fantastic. But yeah, let me know what you thought about it. And remember, like and subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. It really helps out. I got a Patreon if you want to join these super awesome rock stars. That would help out as well. socials, all that kind of stuff. There's a link in the bio to everything and in the description to everything. Follow me everywhere. I'll see y'all next time. Let me know what you think about Ozzy and just Ozzy in general and Black Sabbath in general. What do you think? Let me know. See y'all later. Stay fresh, cheese bags.